Hello everyone, welcome to Bikewale. I'm Prateek and today we are finally riding the new Royal Enfield Scram 411, the bike that we talked about exclusively sometime last year. As you can see, we have lots of dirt around, we have some off-road obstacles, and just a few meters away from here we also have a flat track. Well, we are at Big Rock Motor Park in Kolar and we are here to test the new Scram 411. It's being positioned as a scrambler, but its main job is to be an urban commuter, and on the weekends you can go and have fun on various adventure trails. And if you look closely, it looks like the Himalayan, so it has to perform really good off-road, right? Well, I think it's time to find out. But before we proceed, please like and share this video and also subscribe to Bikewale. Let's start this section by saying that the Royal Enfield Scram 411 is possibly one of the coolest looking motorcycles sold in India. And we say this because the kind of color options the brand has chosen for the bike. They are bright, they are youthful, and they are too cool. In fact, these paint schemes have made the bike look so much more aspirational than its adventure tourer cousin. The Scram is based on the Himalayan, so majority of the design lines are from the ADV. But there are some changes that makes the Scram look apart. Firstly, the 21-inch wheel at the front has given way to a 19-inch one. The Scram doesn't get any windscreen, nor does it get a metal frame that joins the fuel tank and the headlamp unit. The headlamp unit is positioned a bit lower to give it a more urban look. There's a small panel sitting close to the fuel tank with the Royal Enfield branding. The seat is a single piece and has a nice texture on it. The grab rail on the Scram is smaller and aesthetically better looking. Now, before we take the Scram for a ride, I wanted to talk about the overall ergonomics of the motorcycle first, because I really find the sitting as well as the stand-up triangle of the Himalayan extremely comfortable. But for the Scram, there have been some changes done to the motorcycle to make it more urban friendly. Firstly, the overall seat height has gone down by 5 mm. Thanks to the 19-inch front wheel, so it is much easier to get on the bike. There's a change in seating triangle as well, because the handlebar is almost 60 mm lower and also 20 mm closer. This has been done to aid the city riding experience, which it does. It is easy to hold the handlebar, the arms are positioned nicely and parallel to the ground. However, this change in handlebar position has made stand-up riding a little uncomfortable, especially for taller riders. You have to bend a little more, and this could result in quicker fatigue off-road. The Scram 411 is equipped with an analog speedometer that has a decent looking background. This unit is from the Meteor, but the outer ring color has been changed from silver to black. There is a small LCD display unit that shows the various ride information. You should also know that none of the Scram variants gets tripper navigation as standard. The one you see here is an optional accessory and can be fitted at the time of delivery or during any service. Rest of the cycle parts like the suspension, brakes, tires and bulb lights have been borrowed from the Himalayan. What RE hasn't borrowed is the switchable ABS system. The Scram 411 gets a dual channel system, but the rider don't have the option to switch the ABS at the rear to have some slight fun. Also, the bike doesn't get a USB charging option, which is sad because this motorcycle is being positioned as an everyday bike. There's also no center stand on the Royal Enfield, which by the way weighed around 1.4 kilos on the Himalayan. In fact, the Scram 411 is almost 5 kgs lighter than the Himalayan. The Scram 411 gets the same motor from the Himalayan, so the performance numbers are similar. The character, the sound, the refinement all makes you feel that you're indeed riding a Himalayan. The strong low end and mid-range, crisp throttle response and the ability to stay at higher gears at low speed all make Scram one lovely motorcycle ride. But there are a few things that make the Scram 411 a much better bike to ride in the city. The 19-inch wheel at the front makes it super easy to move the bike around, be it while overtaking vehicles or going a little fast in the corners. There's a certain nimbleness that makes the Scram 411 a joy to ride in and around the city. And then with the loss of 5 kgs, this Royal Enfield feels slightly better to go off the start. It's not too peppy, but it somehow gives that experience. On the highway, we felt that the Scram 411 was purposely not allowed to go above a certain speed. In fact, it felt like a bit dull on the top. Also, the lack of windscreen doesn't bother you in the city, but as you take the highway tarmac where the average speed is always much higher, the buffeting does play a spoilsport. Now coming to the most exciting part, off-road. The Scram 411 has a Himalayan DNA. So it is bound to work in dirt as well, and it did. The bike is easy to ride off-road. It doesn't feel out of place with that 19-inch front wheel. In fact, the Scram can do everything that the Himalayan does. It can jump, and it can do that all day. It can go over some stones, and the bike can keep the rider involving all the time. The only displeasure I had is that lowered handlebar. And yes, the lack of switchable ABS is such a bummer. Now, should you buy the new Scram 411? Well, here's the thing. The Himalayan is a great motorcycle to have. It turns out good city riding experience, and on the highway it just gets better. The Scram 411, it can do everything that a Himalayan does, and in fact, in some cases, it does it better. The city riding, for example, the lighter curb weight and smaller wheels results in a pleasing riding experience. Plus, the lowered seat height and revised seating triangle is bound to make long saddle hours quite contented. And in case you are one of those adventure types, there's always an option to take the bike off-road, as it got the right tires, right ground clearance, right intent, and most importantly, it got the right name. In short, you get a motorcycle that is cheaper than the Himalayan but can do everything that the Himalayan does. Plus, with some really cool paint schemes, you are bound to turn a lot of heads. So we think the Scram 411 is perfect for someone who wants a motorcycle to be used on an everyday basis and also take it out on some weekend adventures. And while doing so, don't get too intimidated like a lot of us do when we look at the body proportions of the Himalayan.